I worked with a composer years ago called Julie Cooper. And I believe that, so Julie and I did my first equity job with Julie in 1985. I think she'd just come out of music college. And so I've been, I came to you through Julie, and so I've been a fan. So I was absolutely thrilled when Greg said that you were going to be composing for Troilus and Cressida. I was like, so excited.
Dear me.
So,
I mean, when you are working with music in a live situation like that, I mean, how does that work for you? Do you prefer to know what that musical score may be ahead of time, or are you surprised if suddenly it emerges once you've all worked out what you're going to do, you know, as actors and actresses? Does it throw you off in certain situations? What actually happens?
I think the process of rehearsing is one of evolution. So to a degree, I mean, it's one of the things I love the most. You know, somebody has an idea and it gets from here to the page, and then at some point down the track, it gets from the page into a room, and then all these other creative minds come to bear on it. And it's almost like the finished product is another thing entirely, because it becomes the fusion of all the hearts and skills and souls that have poured into the piece. So every time it's different, and I wouldn't like to know the whole score ahead of time, because I don't know who I am until I've no idea who I am until I'm in the rehearsal, and quite often I don't know who I am till somewhere in the previews, because it becomes a different thing again once you put it in the space. And then when you're in dialogue with the audience, the bodies in the space make a difference again. So I loved being sort of drip fed your music, and then it all coalescing into this huge whole. And I loved all the movement sessions we had, where we were thinking about how we would work with the music and how it informs your performance. You know that Ulysses has that great big speech at the beginning about the planets, the disordered planets, and I love the sense of the percussion being the music of the spheres. I loved that, and I was really sort of I really sort of fell into that notion as Ulysses. Obviously Ulysses, the dog fox, he's Ulysses is the arch manipulator, so draws on anything. So for me, that notion of the music of the spheres and the sense of us being, carbon bouncing off each other.
Yes.
Planets, human beings, everything. We're bits of carbon bouncing off each other, and so we're the same as, in my head, we're the same as the instruments to a degree. Because it's just a different formulation of the carbon, and what that does to your soul, and how that informs the way you are moved by music, and how that comes out in your character within the narrative of any piece. I love all that. My father's a musician, my brother's a musician, my nephew's a musician, my grandmother was a musician. I'm not a musician. All I ever wanted to be was a bass player in a punk band.
Never too late.
Well, you say that, Evelyn.
Never too late. But so, yeah. Sorry for interrupting, because what I found very interesting. I mean, I remember doing Shakespeare at school, of course, and I didn't enjoy it, to be honest. I really didn't enjoy it, and it was quite dry. It didn't seem to inspire me, and I was slightly dreading, on the one hand, this project, and it took me an awful long time to say yes to it, to agree to it. And I spent many months, and Greg Doran, who was extremely patient, from the Shakespeare Company, was just saying, well, have you thought more about it, and so on. And I was frightened by the language. I was frightened by not necessarily understanding fully what this story was about. And it's interesting that, during this whole lockdown period, you actually have started with the Royal Shakespeare Company a project called Homework help. And you know, this is trying to decipher, you know, the language of the plays. And you commented on the fact that, well, just imagine it's someone speaking in a different accent, you know. And that's so interesting, actually. And if only that was said when I was, you know, 13, 14, 15 years old, that might have just made the difference, just that one comment.
Yeah, I know. I, like you, Shakespeare was done. I think Shakespeare's quite often done no favours in the way that it's sort of a box ticking exercise at school quite a lot of the time. And I'm sure teachers aren't best thrilled at the way they have to disseminate the work quite a lot of the time. I mean, he's not supposed to be read. It's like, it's almost like saying, well, hello children, here's a piece of music. Now just read this musical score. Enjoy. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You're supposed, you go to hear the play. That's why it's an auditorium. You know, you don't go to read the play. He was banging it out at a rate of knots. People were just getting their parts. So you didn't see the whole play. It's a live experience. You're supposed to follow the story. What's going on? You know, and I just remember, I mean, I've done Julius Caesar twice now. I've played Portia for Greg, and I played Casca for Nick Heitner at the Bridge. And Julius Caesar was my O-level play. And I remember we had to read round the class. Can you imagine? Read the play around. It was just, it was death. Yeah. It was so dreary. Nobody knew what they were saying. You couldn't hear half the people, you know. So I just think the first thing, go and see a play. Go and see it. I remember my first Shakespeare was, I saw The Tempest, and Captain Mannering off of Dad's Army was playing Prospero.
Oh my Lord.
I know.
Wow. Can you imagine?
It was so exciting.
Brilliant.
And I just, that's the way you need to come. You need to come at it like, I think of Shakespeare, you know, go and see a panto, go and see a Shakespeare. It's the same thing. If it's good, it's good. I mean, obviously the language of Shakespeare is different from He's Behind You, but I mean, there should be that level of entertainment and engagement.